If you would like to start the recording, I'd appreciate it. Welcome everyone for joining us this afternoon. This is the fifth in our series of CRM success. Today's topic is data mining. My name is Steve Luke. I am a senior consultant with InfoGrow. We'll be walking through some slides and some hands-on presentation within two versions of CRM 2013 as well as 2011. So again, I thank everyone for taking their time out of their schedule this morning or afternoon to learn a little bit more of data mining. We're going to briefly review what we talked about last month, and I believe we've recorded all of these presentations and they are available. If you would like a link to them, please feel free to send me an email and I will send you the link. Then we're going to spend some time discussing data mining and how it is very powerful for pinpoint targeting of information, being able to easily and quickly do aggregate analysis and to spot trends. We will roll up our sleeves and look at some real-world examples and discussions within CRM application and take a quick sneak peek at next month's presentation for competitive insight. And we will also open up the forum for any questions you might have. And if you do have questions, please submit them through the webinar chat function, or I don't know exactly what it's called, but there's a place you can submit a question and Christine will field those questions for us. So briefly, last month's presentation we talked about consistent messaging, or as I like to make up my own words, the templification of CRM, and helps us ensure that we have a consistent message going out to anyone we are interacting with, clients, customers, prospects, business partners, and so forth. Everybody's message looks the same, so we have a standardized corporate image that is already corporately approved. So we don't have renegades out there doing their own thing. And probably the most efficient aspect of this consistent messaging with templates is that the message is already created and we're not spending time and effort reinventing the wheel. The guesswork has been taken away, and simply either through automation or knowing which template to choose, we have gained efficiencies tremendously with these templates. Not much new there, so we're going to move into our topic of the day. What is data mining? Data mining, as some people also call knowledge discovery. It's being able to look at your system, let me back up a step, just like mining, where you're digging through the dirt for gold or diamonds or other precious commodities. Digging through your CRM data helps you discover those hidden treasures of information based upon the data that is in the system. So this knowledge discovery is using data elements to see patterns, trends, do some analysis to make decisions. It is the beginning of taking out the guesswork and replacing it with facts that are actionable. We're no longer simply wetting our finger, holding it up in the air to see which way the wind blows. We do a little bit of analysis and we understand what is happening in the system, not anecdotally, but through information that has been captured. I use an analogy that we are planting data seeds, and over time those seeds grow into an information tree, and it allows us to harvest the fruits of our labor. So beginning with these data seeds, it allows us to mine information. So what is mineable? When should we mine the information CRM? Any and all the time. We should be looking at trends to develop new marketing campaigns, knowing who to target. We should be reviewing our qualified and disqualified leads to see if there's any patterns of the lead capturing that we are doing. If we are doing some type of outbound telemarketing, taking a review of the results of those call campaigns. And if we have case management, reviewing the integration of cases to products and see if there's any trends with things like product defects or enhancement suggestions. And it's really an endless list of what is mineable, with one key point to keep in mind. We must have the data to do the mining. So let's walk through a simple thought process before we get too far down the road of data mining. And as we've learned in prior conversations, I love activities. Activities are either open or closed. They are responsible to be done by someone, And with a little bit of enhancement, they have things like a purpose and a result. Let me try this. So that didn't work. Being able to establish purposes for doing things as well as the results or the outcomes of doing it is a data seed. That by itself is the start for some wonderful data analysis capabilities. The first one that we can do, oops, let me go back to my pointer. The first thing that we can do with our activities, back a screen, we are looking at the activities that are associated with, I can't go backward a slide. There it is. Looking through activities that have a specific purpose of quote pursuit. For organizations that spend time and energy generating leads, those leads should be qualified to turn into opportunities. And as we have opportunities, we should be associating it with quotes and eventually turning those quotes into orders. So one of the things we have to monitor is if our quotes are getting followed up by our sales team and we are asking for orders. So on the slide in front of us, we're simply looking at a day-by-day count of how many completed activities have taken place using that result code of quote pursuit. As we can see, it's on a downward trend, and in the month of May, we have very few quote pursuit completed activities. So let's take a step back and look at it on a weekly view. We can see a few weeks ago, looks like the month of March, we had a lot of quote activity. Prior to that, very little. And following that 3 or 4 week period of time, we saw it diminish, and our current time period is very few. Let's take another step back and look at it a longer timeline, and we're now looking at monthly analysis of our closed activities. So we can see we're on a downward trend, allowing us to start asking some questions for further analysis. Why is this? One thing we might be able to do, and I chopped off the names on the the left-hand side to protect the innocent, but I can see that not all of my sales team is recording completed activities. So they are either not A, following up on quotes that they've submitted, or B, not producing quotes, which in turn allow us to do the follow-ups. So let's take another step backward and ask the question, if they're not producing quotes for follow-up, are we receiving the leads that we need to do these follow-up steps? By making use of things like these charts, CRM allows us to keep playing what-if scenarios to get to the root cause of an item. So what is able to be analyzed within CRM? The simple answer is if we have it, we can count it, we can sum it, or we trend line it. If we have it, we can find others like it. By others, that could be other accounts, other contacts, other leads, other orders, other quotes, and so forth, just like it. Or it could be other users that are doing something successfully or unsuccessfully, but it allows us to analyze it because we have the data. It also allows us to do analysis where we do not have data. So we can find some exception-based rules, find all of my cases where it is not associated with a product, find all of my leads not associated with a marketing campaign, find all of my opportunities that do not have a budget dollar amount filled in. As we use the CRM tools that are available to us, we can find things using logic such as a field equals or does not equal a value, contains or does not contain a value, is empty, is not empty. Again, based upon those exception rules, find all of my records that some particular field does not contain data. If we have numeric values, we can find accounts, opportunities, leads, based upon numbers that are greater than or less than ranges. And if we have date values, we can use those dates and pigeonhole them into daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly periods as we need to. Hang tight, we're almost to our hands-on demo, but we're going to talk a little bit about some tips and tricks before we begin doing our data mining. The first one I tell to people all the time: speak before doing. If you are able to state in English a clear message of what you are looking at analyzing, rolling up the sleeves in CRM becomes much, much easier. This is not something you want to fly by the seat of your pants, but have established some type of a game plan prior to beginning your analysis. We must have good data, the mantra. If we have the data, it has, well, first we have to have the data. Secondly, it has to be good. We can't be haphazard about it. We have to be consistent. And we also want to make sure that our data is structured in such a way to make it more easily usable. Again, some of the words I make up, easy usable. And we will see in an example or two of how simply structuring data differently lets us have much more powerful analysis capabilities. Don't be shy of dashboards. Build and use multiple dashboards to look at different perspectives. Look at cross sections of your organization. Use different views within an entity, and use the charts to use the drill down capability. As we are going through and building our searches, our data mining queries, save early and save often. It's so much easier to go back one step than to start all over again. And as we are saving things, give them a good name. Again, we'll look at that in a little bit, but everything is in a name so that 6 months, 6 weeks, or in my case 6 days from now, we will know exactly what a saved view or chart is doing, simply because we took the time and effort to name it appropriately in the beginning. So we're going to take a look at several examples of doing data mining. We're going to begin with a high-level overview of account information and playing some what-if scenarios. And then we're going to drill into that account data to find what I call buried data. The example that we're going to use is down a path of all of my customers who purchased a specific item that we had first quoted to them. And then we will spend a little bit of time looking at trends and doing some more case scenarios with cases and leads within the CRM system. So let me minimize my presentation and open up a Internet Explorer CRM session for 2013. Currently we are looking at all active accounts, and in the lower left-hand section I can see that I have more than 5,000 accounts in here. And a couple of the things that I want to do is a geographic analysis of my accounts by a business type, so I can determine where to send my salesperson on a business trip. I've got several columns of information that are being displayed and maintained by the system. So we have a state where the account is located, a geographic metro area, as well as a time zone. So based upon the hierarchy that we are searching for, we can find every account in the Eastern time zone. We can find every account in Ohio. And we can continue to drill down, find those just in a metro area, and then ultimately with a specific business type. So to begin with, as I said, if we structure the data correctly, it's more usable. As I hover my mouse over a time zone value, nothing happens. Time zone is an option set field on my screen, a drop list, which is simply a piece of data stored on the account record. As a comparison, metro area, when I hover my mouse over it, it changes my cursor to a hand, which allows me to select this item. And the same happens with business type. These two columns are examples of related records where I have a master list of metro areas. When I click on a metro area name, I am now redirected to that particular metro area, and a area on the form is showing me all accounts associated to that metro area. So in my database, I have 750 accounts in a particular metro area. So I took one mouse click to do my first layer of data mining. Show me the accounts in Cleveland area mentors metro area. I'm going to use my back button. And the same with business type. This is also a related entity, and when I click on business type of comp, it will open up the comp type with my associated view of all accounts classified with the business type. And in this case, I see 765 of them. I can tell there's not much overlap, but there is a little bit of overlap in my accounts between my business type of comp and my metro area of the Cleveland area mentor. Now, if you're not familiar with the CRM views, as we go through and use the filtering capability, we can save them and add it to your list of personal views. So we have done the work one time, but we can then reuse it time and time again. I currently have not created any personal views, but I want to show you how easy it is through the data mining tools to create a new one. So the first thing I want to do is click the little filter button on the upper right-hand area of my column headers for my active accounts. This brings up the equivalent of the drop list that you would see in Excel if you are used to Excel's filtering, where we can hit the drop list and specify what set of data records do we want. In this case, I'm going to pick just those accounts in the Eastern time zone. So I'm now down below the 5,000 count. I'm looking at almost 4,900 accounts in the Eastern time zone. I can continue to filter my list. I am data mining, and I want to find only those in where state equals OH. Now I have to type this in because this data had not been optimized. It is simply a text value that I would have to repeat on my search capability. So now I've got two filter criterias, Eastern time zone as well as Ohio. It's somewhat redundant in that the entire state of Ohio is in the Eastern time zone, but I just wanted to show the example that as we continue to add criteria, our result list gets smaller and smaller, giving us the specific set of accounts that we are looking for. I had also said in one of my tips to save early. So before I get too far down this path, I'm going to come in, click my list of views, and save this as a new view. And I'm going to call this active accounts. I just bumped something on my computer. I didn't properly name it. I think I hit the enter key by accident, but I have a saved view of active accounts. Proper naming, I wanted to name this active accounts in Eastern time zone and Ohio. But I can continue to filter my list. And in this case, oops, turn it back on. In this case, I want to get an idea of how many different metro areas exist for my list of 3,000 accounts. So what I'm going to do is open up my chart area, make this a little bit wider, and I am going to see if I have an existing chart. I have a couple accounts by state and time zone. What I don't have is a chart by metro area. So I am going to change my chart first to accounts by state. I can see the numbers match, 3,005. As I click on the bar chart, I have the ability of doing a drill down, and I am going to specify the field I'm drilling down is metro area. And I can choose the style of chart to look at. My execute or go choice is the arrow pointing to the right. I now have a visual representation of my active accounts in Ohio grouped by metro area. I can click on one of these items, and then my left-hand side list is filtered to just those in the Akron, Ohio metro area. At this point, I can choose to save as a new view. Active accounts in Akron, Ohio metro area. So in just a couple of mouse clicks, I have built a query to find only accounts located in a metro area. I want to do one more drill down, and this time the field I select is by business type. And when I go, I can see I've got a number of different business types within that geographic area, the metro area. And I want to focus on a couple of my spikes. So this one looks to be manufacturing. So I now know I have 48 manufacturing accounts in a particular metro area that I can save that and update the name to active manufacturing accounts. And these 48 might be the beginning of a call campaign now, so that as I delegate tasks to my call center, or if I want my salespeople to travel to that location, I have a very specific call list that they can start following up on. I'm going to minimize this version and go into an advanced find so that we can start talking a little bit more about the buried data within a CRM system. And by buried, it is information that is on related records underneath the primary record we are looking at. So the scenario I want to walk through is to find all of the accounts that we have quoted. So I'm going to scroll down my advanced find area. Oops, I have to delete that. So I'm going to scroll down my list and locate my quotes. The alphabet is difficult for me, so I have to find my quotes of the potential customer. And I'm simply going to find where potential customer contains data. So in my entire CRM universe, I now know I have quoted a unique list of 625 accounts. But I don't yet know what I quoted those accounts. So as I go back into my advanced find, I'm going to do a little more data mining. And I'm going to find those quotes that have a related quote item, or I'm sorry, a quote product, where the item equals a specific part number, my Binford 6100 part. And when I look at my results, I can see that I have quoted to a unique list of accounts, 269 of those, a specific item. Coming back into my advanced find, I'm doing a little bit more drill down, and I want to find those quotes that were created on or after. So I only want to see those that we have quoted since January 1st. Too far. So as I view my results, my list now shows that I have quoted 107 times, I have quoted 107 accounts this year a specific product. And one last iteration of our buried data analysis. And only those that our data is structured. We know that the order status equals a particular value. In this case, we want to make it a invoiced or a completed order. So as we walk through the thought exercise, we began by looking for all of the accounts that we've quoted. Then we looked at accounts that we've quoted for a specific product in a specific time frame this year. And then we did a search to see how many of those turned into orders. So we have 15 accounts that have produced an order. If we remove our order status and refresh our memory with how many we've quoted this year, 107, so roughly we are at a 15% batting average on converting quotes to orders. Again, Data mining allows us to quickly see this information as we added a layer and a layer of criteria so that we can step back and say, well, what happened to those other 85%? Maybe those are the ones that we have not completed our phone calls for asking for the order using the purpose of the quote result. So it all comes back full circle based upon those activities. Not doing those activities may have been the reason the number of our quotes to orders have dropped. I'm getting tight for time. I do want to look at a couple other examples real quick. I'm going to change my look for to leads. And we have the same capabilities with our leads. Find all of our leads. Actually, let me change this slightly. Let me come into CRM itself, into the leads area, open my chart, and do some data mining simply through navigating through our chart tools. So on my chart, I want to take a look at all of my open leads and see where they are coming from by source campaign. Internet, 12. As I click on this bar chart, I can see who those leads are, and I can also continue doing my drill down or my data mining based upon some other type of information that is stored on the lead record. We can do the same type of a process with any data that is in CRM against any entity, leads, opportunities, orders, cases, service activities, and whatnot. So I hope in what we had looked at gives you an idea of how easy it is to do some data mining. We have the data, we have some starting tools, saved views and charts that allow us to do some filtering and drill down capability of the information. Briefly, let me put an advertisement out for next month, third Thursday in June. We're going to be talking about gaining competitive insights simply from using the CRM system. In particular, doing some SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats analysis, monitoring who is competitive against specific products of yours, maintaining sales literature for that competitive analysis and battle cards, integrating competitors with your sales opportunities, and ultimately having your competitors' customer list stored and maintained in CRM just from doing your normal sales processing. At this point, I'll open up the floor to any questions we might have. Christine, have we received any questions submitted?